Hello everyone, Power Query Challenge today. I came across a solution of this challenge from the channel Excel on Fire. You can find the link below. Make sure you watch that video. Oz presented the solution in his unique way, and you will learn a lot of Power Query techniques from the video. So now, let me walk you through what the challenge is. We are given a table like this with two simple columns. The first column is the name. The second column is the music that they enjoy. But we want to transform this simple table into something with the headers of different musics. Okay, so what does mean? So let me make an example here. Instead of having music on a single column, we want to split all the different kinds of music presented in this table into columns, and then we will mark a true or a false under each column. For example, for Andy, okay, Andy enjoys high life, and also soccer. To be honest, I have no idea what kind of music they are. Maybe that is the cultural difference. But now we are talking Excel. Excel is a universal language, so there is no such cultural barrier. Let's continue. For Andy, because he enjoys this too, so what we want under the column for Andy is a true here. For cousin doesn't enjoy both of them, so there will be false here. However, we will have the music that cousin enjoyed. This is Sadako, and this is rock, and this is funk. Okay, so for cousin, these three musics will be true. For Andy, this will be false. And then we will have the third column, the third row, follow the same logic. So we will have true under funk, but we do not have disco. That means we need a new column called disco here. And then this will be true for Dave. However, for Andy and cousin, this will be false, and so on and so forth. No need to mention, we need to fill in the gap with the false. And to me, the real challenge is we don't want to exclude anyone with no particular interest in music. In this example, James, this is blank. But we don't want to exclude James for that. So for James, we want to keep it in the result, but under all the columns, it will be false. And the final output will be something like this. A nice table with all the different kinds of music presented in columns and with the corresponding true or false depends on the content here. And of course, we want to make it truly dynamic. That means when we have new persons added to the table, when we have new music added to the table, it will be presented. Let me show you. Put the data here to the table. A click of refresh will do the magic. Now you can see that MF is here. Okay, MF enjoyed harmonica. So we have harmonica for MF. Bingo. Let me show you how to do it. So we have the data table formatted as Excel table already. So I can go to the data from range or table. Now the Power Query editor opened. This is the original table name. Let me rename it to base. I would like to define the columns here. They are both text. And then I'm not going to do any transformation here. Instead, I would like to make a reference to this query reference. And I'm going to rename it as my output. So this is where I will do all the transformation to give the result. The first step I do is to select the column music. I want to split all the music types, and I know that the delimiter is comma. Okay, so select the column music, transform, split column by delimiter. Comma, cool. Its occurrency, cool. Advanced option, I want to split it into rows. Okay. Then I need to deal with the space here for certain types of music. Easy. Right click, transform, trim. Now I would like to sort this. This is optional. The reason I'm sorting it in ascending order is I want the columns named of different types of music will be sorted in ascending order too. Before I do that, I need to create another column, add columns, custom column. Just call it custom, it's okay. Double quotation. This will be true because whatever we see in this table, everyone with the music presented here, I want the label of true. The next step is to pivot this column into columns. Okay, let me show you. But indeed, we will have a trouble here because we have node for gyms here. This is something we need to deal with later. But let me show you the idea first. I am going to transform pivot columns. Let's see what we have here. Use the names in the column music to create new columns. The value columns, let me hover here to see the description. Select where the sales value for the new columns come from. Oh, I see. I want it to come from the column custom. Why is that? Because the expected outcome will be, say this for example, dance hall. The dance hall will be moved to a columns. And then when we see the next items, disco will also be moved to another new column, and so on and so forth. So as a result, we will have a column with names and various columns for different types of music, depends on the content here. We also need to open the advanced options, and we don't want any aggregation, so we will select don't aggregate, because we just simply want the label true to be presented under the columns. But we are going to having a trouble here because of node. We cannot have a node as the column names. Let's see what happens if I click OK now. See, we cannot convert the type node to type text. Basically, that means in the column we try to pivot, there is node value inside, which is not acceptable. So we need to deal with that. Remove that. So before we are going to pivot this column, I need to remove all the node. We can do it by filtering, easy. Now we are ready to pivot and get the results that we want. But before we do that, I'm going to do an additional step here, which is critical at the end to get a dynamic result. What is that? I want a list of music here. So how do I get a list of music? Right click on this column, drill down. Now I have a list of music with duplicates. I don't want duplicate, so I'm going to remove duplicate. As simple as that. Let me rename the step here to something meaningful. This should be the headers for music. Okay. We will come back to this later. Now, I want to refer to the previous step, which is filter rows. This is the moment that we are ready to pivot the column, but I'm not going to do it right now in this step. Instead, I will do it at the last step. In the last step here, I am going to create a new step. Click on this icon, add step. I don't want to refer to the previous step, which is the default setting. Indeed, we can reference to any steps here. Now I want to reference to the step filter rows. So just tell Power Query, please go back to the step of filter rows. There we go. Then now I am ready to do the pivot. Select the column music, transform, pivot columns.
value columns will be custom. Advanced, don't aggregate. Okay, see, we are almost done. We have the name here. We have all the different types of music presented into columns, and we have the corresponding label under each person. This is super cool. Now, what we want to do is to replace all the nodes into false. And we have to remember we are missing James here. So we need to add James back. How can we add James back? Let me go to the base queries. Let me reference it again, assign other queries. And rename this as no music. Okay, so how do we know the persons with no particular interest of music? Easy. We just simply filter the test with no, right? We can do it by right click here, filter test equal, or we can do it from here, open this uncheck the no value. Okay, I'm sorry, I did something wrong. It should be equal. Just select the no value. What we want is just the name. So I select the column name, remove other columns. That's it. Then I want to add this person's, currently only James, but in the future, maybe we have more. We want to add all those persons back to the output. So we can do it by first going back to the query output and then home, append queries. I have just two tables and select the table to append, which is no music. Okay, as simple as this. We can do a sorting on the name to make it more presentable. Then we can replace the value on all the columns here. Replace the node with false, but I'm not going to select all the columns here. We have so many columns here, but I want to show you the idea. So I selected only 3 columns here. Right click, replace values, replace node with false. Okay. You can see that only 1, 2, 3, the 3 columns, we have the value replaced. For the rest, nothing happened. Why I'm doing this? Because I want to show you in the step, actually the column names is hard-coded. So we have the dance hall, we have Discord, we have funk. How about if I change it manually to R&B? You will see that, the column R&B will be replaced here, but not other columns. That means we have to make this dynamic. We don't want to hard-code this. So how can we make it dynamic? This is the step we did before, the headers for music. This is exactly the dynamic list of the different music type presented in the data source. So we need to refer to this step. Let me go back to this final step, and then you can imagine I am going to replace this entirely with the step of headers for music, as simple as that. Okay, done. Next, close a node. By default, I set all the query to load to connection only. Now I want to load this output into a spreadsheet. So I right click on it, select load to, select table, select the location. Okay. There we go. We have a nice table. Now let's test it. What if we have some new data? We have Anson with no particular interest. We have MF for a new types of music, harmonica. Let's see if they will show up in the output. Right click. Boom. We have Anson. Anson have no particular interest, so every column is false. We have MF here. MF have an interest in harmonica. So we have only true under harmonica. Everything else is false. This is the magic of power query. I hope you like it. See you next time.